Welcome back to Raccoon Shitty, where we fought the infection, we survived the apocalypse, and now we face extinction. I'm Thomas, back with my co-host Frank, as we dive into the third film in the live-action Resident Evil series, Resident Evil Extinction.
After Apocalypse opened at number 1 in the US box office of 2004, Anderson told Sci-Fi Wire that he would oversee the production of a third film. At the time, the working title was Resident Evil Afterlife. And while they didn't end up using this title, it would become the title of the fourth movie. Weird.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yeah, exactly.
Because didn't they do that for this one too? Or the last one?
The last one was supposed to be called Nemesis, and then they changed it to Apocalypse because they didn't want to be associated with Star Trek Nemesis.
Maybe I'm thinking of another one then. I feel like I remember them reusing another name.
All of these are so interchangeable, and I know in the animated ones there's a Damnation and a Degeneration, and those sound really similar. So when we get our first guest on, I want them to rank the movies in what order they think they came out in.
I mean, I guess they kind of make sense. It was Evil, Apocalypse, Extinction.
Yeah, but Afterlife? And then Retribution, I don't know. Moving on, in June 2005, Sony announced that in addition to the third film that Anderson had already confirmed, another entry was also being planned at the same time.
Damn.
So, this is what's weird. We'll probably get into it a little more later in the doc, but Anderson would refer to this as the end of the Resident Evil trilogy in interviews, but Sony went out ahead and already confirmed that, no, we're going to be making a fourth one. So it just completely undercuts what Anderson is talking about. I mean, I guess you could say that this is the end of some sort of like thematic or like character trilogy, and that 4 could be something totally different, but with hindsight, we know that the next one is also Mila Jovovich's Alice, and Anderson is back as writer and director. So it's like, I don't know how this is really a trilogy.
See, part of me thinks that, like, because I said this to you, I'm like, I don't know where the fourth one is going to start. I wouldn't be surprised if they just pretended that nothing happened in this one, and they just went back to, like, the last one, or, like, this one was just a dream.
God, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be nuts?
That'd be awesome.
It wouldn't be any crazier than how this movie opens, but we'll get there in a few minutes. But yeah, no, I've got the actual document here. This is the production document. It's sort of like a behind-the-scenes documentary, but it's not. It's like a giant text document. It's 17 pages long, so I guess not that giant, but it sums up a bunch of stuff. I don't know who this would have gone out to, but these production notes are on the official Sony Pictures website. Through the Wayback Machine, you can still see them. And the first sentence in the 17-page doc is, the third and final installment of the $100 million Resident Evil trilogy, Resident Evil Extinction, is again based on the wildly popular video game series. The first film established the world of Resident Evil. The second film found Alice, LJ, and a renegade Umbrella officer named Carlos escaping Raccoon City and Umbrella's plot to extinguish them. And Resident Evil Extinction finds them loose in the Las Vegas desert, moving from place to place in an armored convoy, outrunning and outgunning the throngs of undead that lurk in the wide, empty spaces that can no longer be called civilization. There's a lot of really funny quotes in here from Anderson and other people, including the director, who, we'll talk about soon. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
We should read all 17 pages.
I mean, like, it's probably better than talking about the movie. It's really interesting to me that these documents are just put out there. Like, you go to sonypictures.com/movie/Resident Evil Extinction /site/download.php, blah, 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 and then you can find this PDF. I mean, it might only be on the Wayback Machine now, but the fact that this was available to somebody, or to everybody at one point, is really interesting to me.
Maybe it was a mistake.
I do want to read the end real quick from Anderson. The final paragraph in the doc, the production notes doc, says, completing the final film in the trilogy is particularly satisfying for Anderson. Quote, I've been very lucky in seeing my vision of the Resident Evil films come to fruition, he comments. In 6 years, we've made 3 movies, so it's been great to see such a broad vision come to the screen. These are very different landscapes that the characters have moved through, yada yada yada. It has been tremendously exciting for me to experience as a filmmaker and as a fan of zombie movies as well. So he's really committing to the whole, like, this is a vision thing. And I just think that's hilarious, because this is so disconnected from the last movie.
That and, like, if this was the end of the trilogy in the series, it would be such a dissatisfying ending.
Oh, totally.
It's very open-ended.
Totally. I couldn't agree more. All right. Sorry. I know I'm getting us ahead of ourselves here, but I just think it's really fascinating.
No, that is pretty interesting. I might have to go through that later and see what else is in there. But Anderson, who was busy once again with another production, this time his action film remake of Death Race 2000, would serve as the writer of the film, but would not direct once again. Instead, Anderson handpicked director Russell Mulcahy for the job. Mulcahy's work included Highlander, Highlander 2, The Quickening.
Now, see, you laugh, and I told you before this episode that you should have watched Highlander.
I didn't have time. I had to watch this movie.
Okay, well, you should have watched Highlander instead and then lied about watching this one. Highlander is fucking awesome. It is like peak cheese. It is really good. It's a good time. The Quickening is something related to the Highlander process. And I'm not really going to explain that right now, but you did laugh at the subtitle. And I just want to say it makes sense within the context of Highlander.
It just sounds funny.
Oh, it is funny. It's a weird subtitle for anyone who doesn't know the context. Sorry, go on. I don't want you to laugh at Highlander, because Highlander's awesome.
Stay tuned for the Highlander episode.
You joke, but I would be down with a one-off Highlander episode.
So Mulcahy's work included Highlander, Highlander 2, The Quickening, The Shadow, and Ricochet. Anderson would discuss his choice of Mulcahy, saying, Russell pioneered a very distinct visual style, a lot of moving camera and crane work, lots of very fast cutting. He's got a very cool eye and sees great ways to shoot. His work certainly had a big influence on me as a filmmaker, and that's why I was very excited to work with him on this movie. That's weird because, I guess there was some fast cutting, but it wasn't to the level of the last movie at the end.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of the fast cutting in this that I remember is in the beginning with the dogs. It was pretty bad.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't really make out what the hell was happening for most of that scene. Probably some stuff with the crows, too, but you're right. I think the last film had just about as much, like, frenetic close-ups. I do get what he means, though, about the moving camera and crane work. Like, that's something you see a lot in Highlander, is, like, they have these, like, big helicopter shots of the sweeping Scottish Highlands, which, you know, it's like the end of Force Awakens. It's like just this big, beautiful landscape, and they're just going around these small ant-like figures in this massive shot, which they do in this a few times.
A lot with the cars. Or the vehicles.
Yeah. It's not as compelling, though, when everything looks like it does in this movie.
When they're in the desert with nothing to look good.
Yeah, which is weird because George Miller managed to make the desert look really good. And anybody who made a Star Wars movie in the desert.
As for some story pre-production work, Anderson wrote the story to be set in the post-apocalyptic desert ruins of Las Vegas, with him citing the Mad Max trilogy as his main inspiration. Anderson would say, quote, there's a whole audience of people who don't know how cool seeing armored trucks blast through these desert landscapes can be.
Yeah, which isn't even like a grammatically correct sentence, but he's kind of like The Rock. He comes from The Rock school of interviews, where a lot of his quotes and stuff that I found are partially indecipherable.
Rambling.
A little bit, yeah, just disjointed thoughts kind of strung together, pivoting in the middle of sentences. Yeah, but that's why I brought up George Miller, because George Miller did the entire Mad Max trilogy. He did Fury Road and Furiosa 2 years ago. I guess looking at it as a movie that came out when it did, Mad Max as a franchise was pretty much done like for 20 years. Like George Miller was trying to make Fury Road since the 90s. But as far as that goes, it's a niche that I don't think was being exploited very much.
Yeah. I mean, the last one was in the 80s, so.
Yeah, and I'm sure there were more knockoffs in between Resident Evil Extinction and Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. But yeah, no, it's not a bad idea to like make a high budget Mad Max knockoff. I don't think this is the place for it.
No.
As we will be discussing, but
I also don't think that what he said here really happened in the movie. They have the armored trucks, but they don't do anything like that really. They're just kind of for show.
No. There's like the one scene at the end with Carlos, and that's pretty much all I can remember.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're just driving the trucks on open road with nothing.
In fact, the bus it's a pole and it crashes.
I forgot about that. Oh, you're right. Mulcahy would add to this, saying, quote, what's terrifying is not necessarily that which goes bump in the night, but that which whispers at midday. In some ways, it's even more terrifying. We do have our dark, spooky scenes, but we have a wonderful visual contrast of this blasted sand and stormy desert landscape, such as Las Vegas covered in sand. And then you go underground to the Umbrella Corporation, which is all blue and cold and steel. It's quite a refreshing and surprising look. A very visceral look, without taking away any elements of the game, which is very important. We've been very adamant about keeping true to the spirit of the game.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Why is he talking like Dracula? He's like, that which goes bump in the night.
Yeah, I don't know. That which whispers at midday. It's like, I don't think so, buddy. I mean, like, yeah, you can do horror movies set in the day. It's a lot harder. I don't think any of the daytime stuff in this is scary. It also, yeah, it's not true to the spirit of the game at all. I mean, Resident Evil 5 is the one that takes place in the sunshine, right? Mm-hmm. But that didn't come out until after this. This came out in 2007, and RE5 came out in 2009.
Okay, yeah.
So this is not true to the spirit of any of them, in the sense that it takes place mostly at midday, out in the sunshine. But it's another example of Capcom actually taking inspiration from these movies. Because Resident Evil 5 has this, like, not only just the lighting and the time of day, but also this weird bleached out brown tone color grading that is reminiscent of this movie.
Mm-hmm. The piss filter.
Yeah, the piss filter, right. Everybody who's owned an Xbox 360 or a PS3, and played a lot of shooters during those days, they know the piss filter. And that's basically what I'm talking about. And I guess piss filters were in movies, too, You had shit like Black Hawk Down and all the Middle East war movies.
Also, keeping true to the spirit of the game, this is literally the furthest away from the game that you could get out of all this trilogy.
Oh, absolutely. This is nothing like the game. If anything, though, it is like Resident Evil 9, which is kind of crazy, in the sense that Leon's chunk of the game is in the ruins of Raccoon City, which is basically post-apocalyptic. And there's like the mutated T-virus zombies, which they discuss in the plot of this. But it's
done better there.
Well, for one thing, yeah, it's done better there, and also, it's not like any of the games at the time, so it's, I don't know, they don't know what they're talking about, or they're just flat out lying.
He probably doesn't even know what this is. He's like, I got a job, I gotta do it.
Yeah, right. Like, he's probably a director for hire at this point, and Anderson picked him out, which is funny that they would give him that much power to pick the director. But I guess, the last two made money. People love these things.
They're letting him keep writing them when we've pointed out that the writing is the weakest part, so...
Consistently the worst part. And like I just said, this movie introduces like a new type of souped-up zombie with the T-virus, and Anderson would speak to his decision to introduce that, saying, quote, "The game has progressed and broadened out, and we thought we should change as well. So we've introduced the super undead, which are a result of Umbrella experimenting with the undead and attempting to give them back some of their reasoning power, some of their intelligence, and a little of their humanity. Unfortunately, these experiments don't quite work, and the side effect is the super undead, which are undead that are faster, stronger, and more cunning. A really fearsome foe." So it actually is like Resident Evil Requiem, where it's like the T-virus has, changed. It's mutated or whatever, and now the zombies are regaining some awareness of what they were like before. Because we see that in Requiem mostly during Grace's section with, like, the zombies that are, like, butlers and maids and the singers and stuff. So that's pretty cool. I mean, we literally see 5 seconds of that in this movie before the zombie goes back to murdering people. But, no, it's still fun.
As for casting, obviously Mila Jovovich was announced to be returning as Alice in June 2005, with Mike Epps and Oded Fehr confirming their return later on. Sienna Guillory passed on returning due to her commitment to the film Aragon, so the producers decided to just not bother bringing Jill back as a character at all. Instead, Claire Redfield would be introduced to fill her role in the story, played by Ali Larder. Aragon is another flop film.
Yeah, I remember being excited for that. I remember reading the book in school.
I owned it on, I bought it on iTunes, and I watched it on my iPod Nano.
God, what a 2007 sentence. I watched Aragon on my iPod Nano.
Yeah, so that tiny-ass fucking thing. And I thought it was the coolest shit ever.
I'm jealous. I always wanted the iPod Nano.
I still have it somewhere. Another major character from the games would also be making their first appearance in this film. Albert Wesker, played by Jason O'Mara. The film was supposed to shoot in the Australian outback, like the Mad Max films Anderson had taken inspiration from, but principal photography was moved to Baja California, Mexico, set to shoot in May 2006.
Mila Jovovich's costume for Alice was designed by her fashion company, Jovovich Hawk.
And unfortunately for us and our listeners, Jovovich Hawk ceased operations in mid-2008 as the business grew too big for Jovovich and her business partner Carmen Hawk. So it's unlikely that we can get any clothing inspired by Alice's look in this film. Isn't that a shame?
It also is a terrible reason. I mean, don't you want your business to grow so fast that you expand to handle the new business?
Yeah, I was reading the page and she's like, yeah, it's just us two doing it, which I'm sure it's not. And she's like, it's just too big. I'm like, okay, well, that's why you hire people to run the business for you. Like, at some point, you don't have to be hands-on.
Yeah, it's not like she can't afford to do it. She's like a model and an action star now. Well, that's okay. Outside of acting, Jovovich is now making language learning models and AI shit. So she's found some other side hustles that are not problematic in the slightest.
No.
There's nothing evil about making your own LLM.
We should ask AI to write a Resident Evil movie, and it would probably do better than Anderson did.
Yeah, it probably would. I mean, you told me before we started recording that you have a theory that Anderson's a bunch of 12-year-olds in a trench coat.
Yeah.
And I do think that holds up, because the way he writes dialogue is, like, it's really bad. It's all like either super expository, clunky shit or the worst one-liners you've ever heard. And not worst as in like cheesy, but worst as in like they don't ever really land. They're always way too soft.
And they're always like really edgy, or they're doing like edgy things, like the part in this one where she has the two knives.
Or they don't really make sense. There's a lot of these where it's like instead of going ha ha or whatever, you're thinking, wait, what? What does she mean? What does that mean? You just left kind of confused. Interesting note here, the novelization would be released 2 months before the movie. This does happen sometimes. I guess just poor timing. When you've got a big marketing push and stuff, sometimes things are released out of order. So if you wanted to spoil yourself on Resident Evil Extinction, you could have bought the novel. God, I'd love to read that. What the fuck would a novel of a Paul W.S. Anderson script look like?
I think it said this was the longest one, too.
Oh, God. Nothing happens in this movie. We'll talk about it once we get to the plot discussion, but Jesus Christ. Another fun note here in the spirit of our deep dive into the website for the first movie and going back to our very first episode on Man of Steel, we've got some online marketing stuff here. The social networking site MySpace also featured numerous clips of the main 4 characters.
Very 2007. Would you like to guess who the 4 main characters were?
Okay, so I'm thinking Alice, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to say, oh God. I was going to say Carlos, Claire, and LJ, but I don't think it's LJ. I think it's going to be Kmart. Am I right?
No, you do have 3 out of the 4 right.
Okay.
But Kmart isn't the last one.
Oh, is it the bad guy? Is it Isaacs?
No, that would make more sense.
Okay, who is it? I give up.
It's Ashanti's character. Who's in like 5 minutes of it.
Oh, yes. I think her name is Betty?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not in it very long. She doesn't have a lot to say or do.
She is 5th build on IMDb, though.
Which is insane to me. That's crazy.
I just thought that was funny, because if I was going to choose a 4th main character, I mean, it'd probably be the Doctor, even if he's like a villain.
Right, yeah.
Some of the other notable movies that released around this time included Superbad, Mr. Bean's Holiday, Balls of Fury, Halloween, which one?
The Rob Zombie one.
Ah, okay. 310 to Yuma, The Brave One, The Game Plan, The Kingdom, and The Darjeeling Limited.
A lot of those.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Episode.
I mean, I guess Halloween would be competition. I don't think anything else would be like direct competition. Maybe 310 to Yuma? I don't know.
I've seen the Rob Zombie Halloween, and I don't think these two movies are anything alike.
Which one's better?
Oh, Rob Zombie's Halloween, absolutely. I would be hard-pressed to find a movie that Resident Evil Extinction is better than, for sure.
And for the Resident Evil universe, in the 3 years between Apocalypse and Extinction, the franchise would see 3 new releases. The first was Resident Evil Outbreak File 2, which was a sequel to 2003's Outbreak that added 5 new scenarios for players to experience, with the same cast of characters from the last Outbreak game. File 2 greatly improved the online experience by adding a new lobby system, events, a greater variety of options and modes, and an online leaderboard that could be referenced on Capcom's official website.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the arcade days where you could brag to your friends and say, look, I got a high score on this campaign, but they could just go to the Capcom website and check it out.
It really is like Left 4 Dead. This one's just Left 4 Dead 2.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, we got to check these out one day. We'll get a couple other people together, because I think it's 4, right? We mentioned last time it's 4 players.
Yeah, I think so.
And they're never going to remake these, because Capcom has made online Resident Evil games since, and they've all been bad, and nothing like this.
Actually, they didn't do one for 9. They did one with 8, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Oh, God,
Reverse.
There's so many stupid names. There's Reverse, then there's Resistance.
Oh, yeah, Resistance.
Because they bundled one with RE3 Remake, I remember. And They're both bad. They're both really bad. Like, one of them is like a clone of Dead by Daylight, I think, which is weird because Resident Evil is in Dead by Daylight. And then the other one is kind of like it's like 1v4 or whatever, but you're not like a bad guy in the physical sense. You're like kind of a dungeon master. You're like placing zombies and enemies, which in theory, I do like that.
Yeah, that one sounds cool.
That you're more like Jigsaw or something. But yeah, the servers are dead for that. And also it sucked. I did play that one.
Oh.
I didn't play the one where it was like Dead by Daylight or whatever, or where you're just playing as like characters from the remakes and the new games fighting each other. I did play the one where there's like the mastermind system, and it was not very good.
Yeah, I don't know why they bothered even doing those, because they put manpower into them, and then they just shut them down when they underperform. Like, they could have taken those developers and put them actually on Resident Evil 3, and then have not had to cut stuff out.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I've heard some people go as far to say that they shouldn't have done the remakes at all, and that they could have just put all those people onto the mainline games, and by now we'd be at, like, RE10 or RE11. I can see where they're coming from, but I do like the remakes, including 3. So I'm glad we have them.
Also, the remakes have brought in so many new players. Because I think 2 Remake is like one of the best selling games in the franchise.
I think it is still the highest. It outsold RE5, finally, I think. Yeah, no, the remakes, I mean, we've had 6 new games in 9 years, not counting the multiplayer spin-off. So, half of those are remakes, and then the other half are the new trilogy. But, like, that's a lot of games for 10 years, like, for a franchise to put out. Unless you've got, like, Call of Duty money, you're not putting out a AAA game every year.
No.
So to have 6 in the last 9 is pretty good, especially because I don't think there's a ton of asset reuse. Certainly with the remakes of like 2 and 3, but...
Plus, with the way that Resident Evil 9 sold, I doubt that if they didn't remake those games, that it would sell that well.
I'm inclined to agree. Yeah, I bet 2 Remake and 4 Remake in particular brought in a lot of fans, and while they do reference 6 in Requiem, I think a lot of people are just going straight from the remakes to 9, or, the remakes to the new games to 9 or whatever, but the point is they're not digging out a copy of RE6 to get Leon's full story.
Yeah, and you don't have to.
Yeah. The next game to release was, speak of the devil, 2005's Resident Evil 4, a title we've already referenced on the show even before just now, because I said when we discussed the first movie that it has a lot of influence on this game, which I still think it does. This is a title that requires no introduction, or should require no introduction. Its offset camera was single-handedly responsible for redefining the third-person shooter as we know it today, and combined with its changes to the survival horror genre, or formula, I guess, it influenced countless franchises, including some really big ones like Gears of War, Dead Space, BioShock, God of War, and The Last of Us. It's one of the biggest games ever. We would not have third-person shooters as we know them today without RE4.
God bless.
Every example I just listed, you can find developers who were like, oh yeah, we were inspired by RE4. We wanted to do RE4. Like, I think Dead Space was supposed to be more of a spiritual successor to System Shock 2, and then RE4 came out during development, and they're like, well, now we just want to do that.
And I mean, I think third-person shooters in that style are great.
Yeah.
So, if that wasn't like a genre, there'd be less differences between games, because it'd be either like first-person or, top-down? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, they had third-person shooters before RE4, but the camera was always weird and wonky. Mm-hmm. It would be like either the camera's right behind the character and like placed above them, like in Max Payne, which isn't terrible, but it doesn't feel as good as the over the shoulder. I don't remember the title that introduced cover shooting, but that's certainly the other staple of like third person shooters over the years. But RE4 is responsible for that camera, man, and that camera is in everything.
That wouldn't have been Gears of War, would it? The cover system?
No. Gears of War, I read an interview, Cliff Blinsky.
Cliffy B?
Yeah, Cliffy B, whatever, I don't remember his last name. But Cliffy B would talk about how RE4 was the inspiration for the camera, and then there was another game that was the inspiration for the cover.
Oh, okay.
And I don't remember what it was off the top of my head, because this is not a Gears of War podcast.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry to break it to you.
Why am I even here?
Guy who's watched 3 Resident Evil movies. This isn't Gears of War.
Was it Kill Switch, the game with the cover system?
Oh, that does sound familiar.
Sorry, I googled it. I was just curious.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kill Switch. That sounds familiar.
We did it.
We solved the mystery. And finally, we have Resident Evil: The Umbrella Chronicles, which is a light gun shooter for the Nintendo Wii, featuring scenarios that sort of abridge the events of RE0, RE Remake, and RE3, as well as some new story material. And this technically came out 2 months before Extinction's release, but I figured it's close enough to mention here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a light gun game. They eventually would port it to the PS3 a few years later, but I think we'll talk about that in another episode. I've always wanted to try this.
It's crazy to me that I think of the Wii as like later, but yeah, it was out at this time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it might have actually been the first one. I think maybe the 360 beat it, but I remember the Wii being out before the PS3 was. Umbrella Chronicles, I mean, hey, if you want to go through the stories of Zero, RE1, and RE3, that's a way of doing it without actually having to play those games. And I know that's a problem for you because you really don't like the fixed camera games. So if you want a more involved way of getting through the stories of 0 and 1, there you go.
So now we'll just get into the plot discussion here. So we start with a cloned Alice waking up in a mansion, wandering through its halls, and is forced to escape several security traps. And this is the mansion from the first film.
Well, a recreation of it.
A recreation of the mansion, and then we have the laser hallway, and then it goes into the hospital that she escapes at the end of the first film / beginning of the second film. However, she's eventually killed by a mine hidden on the floor, and her body is dumped into a pit filled with dozens of other Alice clones, representing the failed results of the Umbrella Corporation's ongoing Project Alice. I will say this, it was kind of intriguing. I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing. It actually sucked me back in. I thought it was cool that they recreated so much of the first movie and then also like the hospital from the beginning of Apocalypse. Well, I guess that's also the end of the first movie. But I was intrigued. And then the mine came out and I'm like, oh, Alice is dead. I guess this is going to be a short movie. And then they cut to the pile of Alices out in the ditch and I started laughing.
Someone else pointed out, they're like, so obviously they're not like running through all these clones in one day, but they're not decomposed.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the T-virus slows their... I mean, that's a thing, right? Like, I don't even know if these Alice clones are... Like, okay, we need to get into this, right? Because they're establishing right off the bat that there are clones of Alice. Mm-hmm. When did they do this? Now, my guess is that they would have cloned Alice at some point before she had amnesia, but at that point, she was just a regular person. And the whole point of, like, Project Alice, I think, is supposed to be to, like, recreate the Alice that's fused with the T-virus from Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't they have already had that, though? Because they had her at the end of the last movie, and that was when she was bonded with it, so wouldn't they already have it then? Or maybe it wasn't bonded until she escaped. Because that's when she gets her psychic powers.
But even then, like, you just wake up one of the other clones, and it'll bond with it after it wakes up like it did with her. So, like, they could have had the DNA from before, but if they want to recreate, the cellular bond and the superpowers, they would use, like, a copy of Alice. Well, I guess Alice was a copy, because we see the original her die in the helicopter crash. She's not, like, kept alive. She's dead. I think the new Alice is a clone.
Are you sure?
Yeah. She was, like, dead and lifeless. And then they, like, have the new one in the test tube, and she says, I remember everything, and then she's got the psychic powers. So it's like, I think we're already following a cloned Alice. So the question is, why is it so difficult to recreate? Why was the Alice at the end of Apocalypse psychic or whatever, and this one is, all these ones are failures? Like, wouldn't they already have the T-virus bonded to them when they had her body at the end of Apocalypse? You make a great point.
We're putting more thought into this than they did when they wrote it.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to just say one more thing. What would be the point of putting these Alice clones through the situation of the first movie? Like, why have her go through the mansion and the laser hallway and then through the hospital? And if you're going to simulate the events of the first movie to see if she's able to handle it, it's like, okay, well, she wasn't bonded with the T-virus in the first movie, right?
Yeah, why were they doing that then?
And then the second reason it confuses me is that they're not recreating it from the first movie because there's no fucking mines in the hospital that she wakes up in at the end of the first movie. So the Alice we just see died from something the original Alice totally didn't have to go through. So it's not even like a good experiment. It's not faithful to the conditions that they're trying to recreate.
Plus, on the laser trap, the way that they have her get out of it is she jumps up through a vent, which didn't happen in the first movie.
No.
So yeah, I don't know why they're doing this. That's a good point.
None of it really makes sense. I do think it's cool to see like the start of the movie start the same way the first one did, but it's all complete nonsense as soon as you look at it for more than a second.
I thought that they just really wanted to find a way to bring back the laser hall.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I don't know if you need to recreate the first movie to do that when you could just say, oh, well, Umbrella always uses laser hallways or something.
They have one contract for all their laser hallways.
It has to be a recreation of the whole lab, otherwise they can't use it.
I had a note when they showed all the clones dead in the ditch, and I said, I wonder if they used dancers for all the dead Alices.
They probably did. I mean, that seems to be the running theme here when it comes to extras.
And then also when they zoom out and they show the fence and then the zombie smacks the fence, that was the first time I was scared watching any of these. But really it was a jump scare, so like, does it really count?
Yeah, I mean, I'd give him a pass. It was cool. It got me a little bit. It was not a bad transition, and then the way the camera zooms out was very Highlander. And I did like that. But I was also very confused why we were in the middle of the desert, which Alice will proceed to explain. It's in a desert because, let me just read it word for word here. 5 years after Umbrella's attempts to cover up the contamination of Raccoon City, the T-virus has spread around the world, causing ecological destruction to all life. The real Alice wanders the wasteland and, after fighting off marauders, discovers information in an abandoned notebook referring to a supposedly uninfected area in Alaska.
So here's something. They talk about how the T-virus swept around the world and like everything's a desert, and then they set it in a real desert.
Yeah, that's right.
So why would they not set it just elsewhere and be like, yeah, this is like New York, and then just film it?
That's a great fucking point that I hadn't considered the whole time I was watching. But you're right. Like, if they want to establish that the T-virus has destroyed the planet, why would they set it somewhere that would already look like this?
And then that makes me think, like, next movie they're going to be like, yes, we're in Europe, and it's going to be, like, green and just forests.
Well, no, because when Alice gives her shitty voiceover and they have the CGI globe, you see it spreading from, like, the middle of Europe and the middle of other places for some reason. I guess maybe planes landed in a particular country, but you would think it would just spread out from the starting point, which has changed.
Yeah, because now I guess it's either Raccoon City is Detroit, or Detroit is where they took her after Raccoon City got blown up. But they show it like spreading from Detroit.
Yeah, the implication, they zoom out to the globe from the like CGI holographic model of Raccoon City exploding, which is in Toronto in the last movie. Yeah, it's supposed to be Toronto. Like, that's where they shot it.
No, it's supposed to be in Philadelphia. Or Pennsylvania, sorry.
Oh, okay. But whatever. They filmed it in Toronto, set it in Philadelphia, and yeah, when they zoom out, it's clearly like around Detroit, which is funny.
They can't even keep that straight.
No, they couldn't. They can't help themselves. But that is the smallest retcon, because as we just discussed, suddenly the Earth is a Mad Max wasteland.
Oh, yeah, I don't know how that happened. It doesn't make any sense.
I agree. It makes no sense at all. First of all, how much time has passed?
Well, it says 5 years.
Okay, so not enough time.
No.
I think I was so distracted by the fact that this was happening and that the movie was going to go in this direction that I didn't notice the 5 years later text.
She says it in like a line. It's like a throwaway. She's like, it's been 5 years since the virus spread out.
Insane, because later on in the movie we see survivors scavenging this apocalyptic desert, and they're like scavenging like the odd can of food here and there. And that's how they're getting by. For them to be struggling with food that much, it would take way more than 5 years. 5 years from now, there would still be a shitload of perishable goods. So the timeline doesn't make sense, but also, how the fuck is the T-virus responsible for turning Earth into Mad Max? Because she describes the freshwater disappearing and the plant life also withering away. Does the T-virus suddenly run on freshwater and plants?
I don't know.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. The T-virus it turns people into zombies. That's what it does. Why would it affect the fucking rivers and lakes and shit? Why would it turn the forests into withered up husks? That makes no fucking sense. Not only is it an apocalyptic setting that doesn't make sense by its own timeline, but the cause of it is just complete nonsense, like everything else. And this is just such a jarring fucking change.
Yeah, I think we both agree. Well, I know I think it. I think you probably think it too. It doesn't make any sense, and it's probably the worst aspect of the movie.
Yeah, definitely. It's not scary at all, first of all. There's like one scene that's kind of scary at the end, and like, okay, sure, there's an odd moment here and there, but it's not a scary setting at all. And it's like, this is not Resident Evil.
It adds so many plot holes too throughout when you're thinking about like what they're going through. And yeah, it's not like the games at all, because they basically, like in RE2, when they nuke the city, it's done. But then this one's just like, we're just gonna hand wave that in the way they're like, we thought we destroyed the city, but we didn't. Oh well.
And even if you forget the games for a second, it makes no sense compared to the other two movies, because we've seen the T-Virus, and we've seen no fucking indication that the T-Virus, mutated or otherwise, would at any point, like, turn the world into a fucking desolate landscape. If all the T-Virus does is turn people into zombies and monsters, that's not gonna suddenly make the Earth a fucking dust ball. So it's like they just decided, we want to make a post-apocalyptic Mad Max-style movie, and we're just going to throw the Resident Evil characters into it, because this is what we've got. It seems like Anderson was just completely bored of what he was doing and abandoned everything related to the games or even his own movies.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the characters are here, sure. I mean, as flat as they are, can you even call them characters? But nothing else is like, there's no continuity outside of the callbacks.
It's just really stupid.
It's the dumbest pivot I've ever seen. Well, somehow Palpatine Returned is the only other, like, early movie pivot I've ever seen a franchise make in its third movie that's just completely stupid. It's like, where did this come from?
I guess besides all that, we have this, like, weird scene where she goes to, like, this hospital. Or not a hospital, a radio station.
Something like that.
And then thinks that she's saving people, and then it's like these weird hillbillies. And this is basically where I was like, oh, yeah, so they're like, yeah, everyone liked the dog scenes in the first one and the last one, so I guess we'll just throw a random one here at the beginning.
Yeah, so we got more dogs, and we have an attempted rape scene, which, you know, I'm sure audiences loved.
Oh, yeah.
Where the hillbillies were trying to fuck Alice.
That's the classic trope in Resident Evil.
Yeah, don't you remember in the Spencer Mansion, Jill having to, you know, fend off zombies that are trying to rape her the entire game? It's a classic Resident Evil moment. Oh, it sucks. This movie sucks.
So the whole first scene felt unnecessary to me, too. I think it was just like, yeah, we need to show that they're in a post-apocalyptic world and there's, like, crazy people.
Right. Which, you know, it doesn't matter because, like, I don't know, there could have been people like this in Raccoon City.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily need to be like Mad Max or Fallout to have people like this in these conditions. If anything, the rioting and shit from like a citywide infection would be a better excuse to have people like this. Because again, it's only been 5 years. These people should still be eating fucking canned food and Oreos.
It also kind of goes against what she says after this or before, whatever. She's doing her, like, it's her spiel about like we have to keep on the move or whatever, but then these people are clearly just staying in one spot because they have their whole like layer set up.
Yeah, and if the wasteland in the, you know, the setting of the movie is as bleak as they're telling us it is, then their strategy doesn't make any sense, because how often are they going to have someone like Alice come by that they could, I don't know, rape and eat? Like, I don't know what their plan is after the rape, but I'm guessing maybe they're cannibals or something.
I think I did see a skeleton there.
Okay, so they are cannibals.
Probably.
Right, so it's like, how often are people at this point coming by to check out the radio signal? It doesn't seem like a solid survival plan is what I'm trying to say.
I also just think that the whole thing where they're like, you can't stay in one spot, you gotta keep on the move, because somehow all the zombies find you doesn't make any sense at all, but whatever.
No.
And they're like, yeah, we have to stay in cars. And I'm like, yeah, that seems really smart. Just stay in cars, not just stay high up and use ladders or something.
Not only that, but cars are like notoriously loud objects.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you're concerned about zombies tracking you through the desert, you're traveling in the loudest things possible. Like not horseback, not camels, not even on foot. You're taking these big ass fucking cars everywhere. Of course they're going to be following you.
Cars with a finite need for gas.
Gas which would have already spoiled 5 years into the post-apocalypse.
Yeah, they're going up to the gas station. It's like, oh, there's nothing. I'm like, yeah, no shit, there's nothing. It's been 5 years. It's probably all used up.
And I'm willing to give them a pass on that because, I mean, a lot of post-apocalyptic fiction doesn't understand that gasoline isn't like an indefinite fuel or whatever. Like non-perishable. But, you know, it's just like one thing on top of a bunch of things that don't make sense.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, we'll talk about the gas station run they do in this movie later.
I think it was also around, well, probably that opening scene with the Marauders. I'm watching it, and it's so quiet, and then, like, the sparks happen, and it's so loud. The sound mixing in this was awful. Absolutely awful. I don't know if it was just me, but...
No, I heard it every now and then, too. I was listening for it after you sent me a text about it, so maybe it was just, like, I don't know, bias. Or maybe I wouldn't have noticed it as much if I wasn't informed of it, but, yeah, not good. Not good.
They'd be, like, talking really quiet, and they're like... I'm like, Jesus Christ. I love having to sit there and manually turn my headphones up and down as the movie goes on.
Yeah, riding the volume the entire movie.
Yeah.
Well, it keeps you on your toes in a way that the plot of this movie does not, so...
So she goes to this, gas station and finds this random diary in the bathroom with a corpse and is like, yeah, let me take this random...
This random diarrhea...
She opens the door and there's like a corpse with a bunch of flies. She's like, ew. And then she sees a notebook on the floor and is like, yoink. And I'm like, okay, that's like the most random thing ever. Like, you're just going to see this book and take it?
Yeah, I love too, in that scene where she's in like the gas station convenience store or whatever, she knocks over a jar that's full of pennies that's just sitting on the floor, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was going to be like a trap or something, or like zombies were going to come after her, because they do like a close-up of it after it falls over. But no, it's just a random close-up of a jar of pennies. It's like, okay, sure. The famous jar of pennies that gas stations keep on the floor.
Maybe it was the take a penny, leave a penny jar.
It was a fucking mason jar with like a solid lid. That would be the weirdest take a penny, leave a penny I've ever seen.
Simultaneously, a convoy of survivors led by Claire Redfield and Raccoon City survivors Carlos Oliveira and L.J. Wade, I didn't know he had a last name, but okay, travels across the country in search of supplies and safe harbor. While searching a motel, LJ is bitten by a zombie. Fearing the harsh fate that awaits him, he chooses not to tell the other survivors about the injury. The next morning, the convoy is attacked by a murderous flock of infected crows. With the team nearly overwhelmed, Alice appears and destroys the remaining crows with a newfound telekinesis, though she falls unconscious. Awakening shortly thereafter, Alice is introduced to Claire and tells her about the notebook, convincing her to take the convoy to Alaska.
This is like half the movie.
I was just about to say that. This is where I had paused it, and I'm like, wait, this movie's half over and nothing has happened.
Also, quick correction. His name is L.J. Wayne. I think Google Docs may have changed it for some stupid reason like they tend to do. His full name, which we never learn, maybe it's in the credits, is Lloyd Jefferson Wayne.
I think he might say it in the last one.
Okay, maybe he did, and I just don't remember.
Well, you know, they barely say the names, so...
Yeah, so, first of all, I'm surprised because Carlos is alive. And LJ. And now we have Claire and Wesker, too. Not only are we getting 2 characters from the last movie coming back, but we're also getting 2 more game characters.
Well, we haven't got to Wesker yet. That's the next paragraph.
Oh, damn. See, that's how little happens in this paragraph. Despite this paragraph being like 40 minutes of the movie, nothing fucking happens.
Well, they have the whole part where they pull up to the hotel and they spend like 10 minutes sweeping 2 rooms. And that's not even like, it's at least like 5 minutes of them just walking around very slowly. And I'm like, why are we even, like, yeah, he gets bit by the zombie, but you could have had that happen like immediately.
No, definitely. Let me explain the plot of this movie for the next 45 minutes for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, which I would assume is everybody on Earth. The next 45 minutes are Alice driving through the desert on a motorcycle, occasionally scribbling the notebook. Carlos, Claire, and company just like scavenging buildings or just driving around with forgettable dialogue. And then the other third is Dr. Isaacs doing his thing, which is the only part that's interesting during this 45 minutes, but it's also like the smallest chunk. For the most part, it's just people playing Fallout, and it's not fun to watch people play a video game. And that's basically what this is it's like, well, maybe I shouldn't say that. I have a Twitch channel after all. Like, Alice has no personality. She's basically a protagonist in an open world game checking off boxes on like little points of interest. And it's the same for everybody else. Like, there's nothing going on here. There's nobody interesting in this group. Nothing is happening. Like, nothing is moving forward until Alice reunites with these people.
Which is like 45 minutes in.
Yeah. Like literally halfway into the movie. And it looks like the plot synopsis has broken it down because they intercut. We are introduced to Wesker after Claire. I have that in my notes. That's the order it happened in. But I feel like at this point, Capcom didn't care about any of this shit.
Well, yeah, earlier I was like, how the fuck well, that was even when they do like the post-apocalypse. I'm like, how did Capcom allow this? But clearly, yeah, they don't care.
No, I guess all they care about is the fact that it made money. That's it. Like, the last two movies made healthy sums of cash. So I guess they think, well, these people must know what they're doing. So we'll just let them do whatever they want.
It's free money for them.
If my memory serves me right, at the end of this film, it makes even more money than the last two. But we'll get there soon.
What did you think of Claire?
She's just a nothing character.
She's like Claire only in name.
Yeah, I mean, literally, she was supposed to be Jill, and then instead of just recasting Jill, they decided, we're just going to have Jill disappear and not mention her once.
It would have worked a lot better with Jill.
They also go nearly, half the movie without explaining why Alice is separated from the group, and nobody mentions Alice even once the entire time we're following these people. And it's all explained between Carlos and Alice for the audience's benefit. It is such a stilted conversation where he's like, why did you go? And she's like, well, I was scared that they were tracking me or something. And it's like, okay, sure.
I did read something that said, I think it was an earlier draft, which I didn't even think about this. Remember Angela?
Oh God, I totally forgot about Angela.
I did too until I read that, but apparently in one of the other drafts, she was gonna accidentally kill Angela, and then that's why she would leave, because she was like, oh, people around me are getting killed because I'm here.
Well, you know what? That makes more sense, because the tracking thing doesn't hold water. It's like, if that was your reasoning, wouldn't you have noticed pretty quickly, in the 5 fucking years you've been on your own, that Umbrella is not tracking you? Otherwise, they would have just found you already, instead of a bunch of rapist hillbillies. Hillbillies who are in the West Coast, I might add, where there are no hills.
Desert Billies.
There's the Beverly Hillbillies, but I don't think that was them. There was that mirror shot with the fake out with LJ and the lady zombie. I liked that. That was a good shot. It was clever. Before he gets bit.
I thought it was painfully obvious that she was in a mirror. I mean, I guess maybe...
Oh. Now I feel really stupid.
Well, okay, maybe not. I don't know.
No. You don't have to walk it back for my sake. I didn't see it coming.
I just assumed that she was behind him. He's like, oh, he's going to turn around and shoot her. And then he shot the mirror, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I think the Mad Max rip-off production design's okay. I think the vehicles and the costumes and stuff and the sets look all right. Mm-hmm. They don't look as good as, like, Fury Road or anything, but, it's not bad.
Yeah, I thought that the production design is one of the stronger points of this one, along with, I thought that the cinematography was pretty good.
I prefer the last movie, the way it looked. A lot of it might just be the color grading. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'm a fan of the, like, desert brown, yellow thing they've got going on here versus, like, the steely blue look of Apocalypse. But I don't think it's a bad-looking movie, no. I'm actually not sure. They might have kept the same cinematographer. Let me look.
I thought this one, like the camera work and the lighting of it, actually made it look like a horror movie as opposed to the other ones.
Right.
When they are in the dark in this one, it actually, like, kind of feels scary.
That is one of the parts of the movie that I agree. It was very scary. The scene at the end, which we haven't gotten to yet, that was, it was scary. You know why? Because it wasn't out in the fucking desert at 2 o'clock. Okay, so the cinematographer for this one is the same guy who was the cinematographer for the first movie.
Oh.
Which is interesting, because I thought the first movie did not look that great.
Maybe it was because of the sets.
And the director, too, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. Paul W.S. Anderson sucks. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, I mean, because we haven't had Anderson directing since the first one either.
It'll be interesting to see how the next one looks, I think. Because the first one was the lower budget, so I don't know.
Well, still $33 million. But yes, I do agree. Like, it was relatively low budget compared to these sequels. It will be interesting to see what it looks like when Anderson comes back, for sure. And it's in 3D, which we'll talk about.
Oh, I gotta bust out the 3D TV.
No, dude, get your VR glasses on. Get your fucking MetaQuest.
Oh.
I watched Avatar that way once. It was pretty cool.
I gotta dust it off.
We could talk about it next week.
It annoyed the hell out of me that LJ got bit and then didn't, like, tell anyone or somehow, like, sacrifice himself. Especially because the last movie, he was like, I was with you the whole time when you were bitten, you didn't tell me. And then he's just sitting here, like, looking at his chest like, oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, that trope always annoys me, and I'm always screaming at my TV because of it. But also, like, LJ's a piece of shit. He's kind of a scumbag. And, like, even if he wasn't a scumbag, I feel like a lot of people in that situation would be hypocrites.
That's true, yeah. I guess it's just, like, he's been with them for this long, and he can't just be like, guys, I got bit. Because clearly they've been together the whole time.
That's true. It has been for 5 years. Half a decade together. Yeah. You think he might have like grown as a person, or at least grown closer to these people?
Yeah. I thought that the crows were cool.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that too. I really like the crows. They're an enemy from the first game, so, that's cool too. But also, it was just really scary to see that establishing shot with like the 10,000 crows just silently listening. That was cool.
Well, at first, I thought it was going to be Alice, like, climbing on the car. I'm like, why is she climbing on the car? And then Kmart, the best name in the movie.
Oh God, we haven't gotten to her yet.
Well, she gets out and she looks at and there's a crow, and I'm like, okay, it's a fucking bird. And then they show like all of them, and I'm like, oh shit, that's a lot of birds.
Yeah, and they're blind or something because they don't start freaking out until somebody makes a noise inside the school bus.
That confused me though, because do they all sleep in the bus? Because they made a whole thing earlier where they're like outside and they're like, oh, it's storming, we gotta get inside. So I assume that they went in the hotel. Then they're all on the bus.
Well, I thought the way it went was somebody noticed a crow or something and then they all ran inside the vehicles to hide. Because then somebody makes the exposition dump of, oh, they've been having blood from infected corpses or something. So I feel like they've had run-ins with the crows before.
Maybe.
I'm certainly not going to rewatch this movie to clarify that. But I did like the crows. The shot of Mike Epps and Ashanti shuffling towards the bus while firing their guns into the CGI horde of crows was very funny. It was very Birdemic to me. It was like the one part with the crows that sucked. It didn't look very convincing.
I think I read there was only 2 crows and the rest were all fake.
Yeah, I believe it.
We also had Ashanti dying already, despite being 5th build.
5th build, barely talks. Yeah, really weird.
I will say the one shot where Alice shows up and she turns the fire in the sky was really cool. At least I thought it was really cool.
It was interesting. I thought it was really stupid, but that's because I just think Alice having the Force is really stupid.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a cool shot in principle. Like, when you remove it from the context, which is just so ridiculous, I did like that shot. But let's talk about this for a second. When Alice is on her own, she's like asleep in the desert and she's lifting rocks with like what is literally the Force.
Oh, yeah.
And I made the joke to you because I had made the joke earlier texting you like, oh, their little camp is kind of like Jakku or something. And they've got these little camera sensors that look like droids. And then Alice, as much of a Mary Sue as you could actually get, is lifting a bunch of rocks with her mind in her sleep. Like Rey from the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. So I'm like, did J.J. Abrams rip this movie off?
I hope not. But it would be really funny if he did.
He even ripped off the stupid, shitty twist at the beginning of the 3rd movie that just completely contradicts the other 2. Yeah, so Alice is here now. She uses firebending and the Force on the crows. Jovovich is really bad in that scene, I think. Not that she's particularly good in any of them. Like, I think she's mostly just fine in these movies. But that shot after the crows are dead where she's, like, weak and she's like, was, like, really bad. If I saw that and I was her, I would have retired on the spot.
There was a couple parts in this one where, I mean, I don't think that she's the best actress ever, but she's been, like, serviceable enough throughout the other 2, but then there was a moment or 2 in this one I'm like, yeesh.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like, for the most part, I do think she, does a serviceable job. She's fine. No complaints. Like, obviously not a charismatic character, but I think more of that is the script's fault than hers. But yeah, this movie, there were some weak spots.
Honestly, this one, the only ones I thought did really good was surprisingly Carlos's actor.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then, what's his name? The Dr. Isaacs.
Ian Glenn? Yeah, he was good.
Those were like the 2 standouts, yeah.
Yeah, he's great. I told you last time, but he's on Game of Thrones and he does a great fucking job on that show. It's so weird that when you like look at his resume, these movies are surprisingly high up. I'm on his Wikipedia page right now. The first thing after he is a Scottish actor, he has appeared as Dr. Alexander Isaac / Tyrant in 3 films of the Resident Evil. Well, I just spoiled. Fuck!
Oh my god.
I didn't know that.
I'm done, I quit.
Well, the point is, they list the Resident Evil film series above his role on Game of Thrones, which is second in his Wikipedia paragraph. And I just think that's very funny.
Well, it did come out after, so maybe that's why. Maybe it's going by chronological order.
It's not, because the third thing is from 1990.
Oh.
So, I just think it's funny. I guess we'll see him again at some point. Whoops. Maybe we'll cut that from the episode. I don't know. Who cares? Who cares?
I think a bunch of them come back in the last one. It's probably going to be like random clones or something. Clones of all the characters that died.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. That's even stupider than what I was imagining. That's got to be it. I was just picturing like flashbacks, but clones is so much better.
Clones of everyone.
Clone of Jared Harris, and he's still disabled.
Clone of Matt before turning into Nemesis.
Clone of Nemesis. But he has no programming, so he's just wandering around.
He's walking around at the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Star.
Right. So we're introduced to Kmart, named after the store. Stupid. LJ, he's bitten for days. I started to think, like, is he immune?
Me too. I was like, how is he not turned yet? He was bitten like 2 days ago by the time he ends up actually turning, which feels weird because I feel like in other scenarios we've seen them turn in like hours.
Yeah, so before we get to their plan and to the next paragraph of the plot synopsis, I want to quickly highlight a realization I had with Alice. When Alice is explaining to Carlos how she hacked into the Umbrella security system and she's been living off the grid for years in the desert, I realized Alice is a Neil Breen protagonist. And I had to give you the context this morning of who Neil Breen is, but he directs his own shitty indie movies, and in every single one of them, he plays the main character, who is always some blend between, like, a mystical messiah figure with magic powers, and also the world's best cyber hacker, who is going against the man. And that's exactly what Alice is. They even go to Las Vegas in this movie, like they do in Breen's first film, Double Down. So it's like, she's a super cyber hacker, and she also has, like, mystical superhuman abilities. And she's going against a shady organization. She's literally Neil Breen. And I just think that's amazing. I think if you're to watch this movie with that context, it makes it 2% better. Which is not enough to make it worth watching, but...
The problem is I'd have to watch Double Down, and then I have to rewatch this, and I don't think I want to rewatch this, so...
No, you might not even want to watch Double Down, but we should do that anyway. I guess, well, do they talk about the plan here? Yeah, they do. They do, right?
Oh my, that part was really bad because like the canned like, yay, yippee. When they all vote on like, she's like Alaska, which also Claire Redfield's actor, awful.
Yeah, it was terrible. I made a note of that. Her speech to the group was really bad. Really bad. Again, not a good script, but she did not sell it for me.
But to be fair, she was just Claire in, like, name only. They couldn't even give her, like, a red jacket to be like, yeah, you know, Claire. She wears red.
It doesn't even matter that she's not Claire. It's just, like, as a human being trying to give a speech to another human being, she fails. She did not do a good job.
Yeah, awful speech, and then they, like, vote, and even the extras don't seem into it. They, like, half-heartedly raise their hand. Probably because they're in the fucking desert.
Yeah, I did like the part where Carlos is like, yeah, you know, everything sucks for us. There's, like, less than half of us left than when we started, and we have no food. I don't think these people care what we do. We just need something to do. The plot synopsis doesn't really mention, because again, it splits up the parts where they intersplice, but I don't see anything here about the Strip or Las Vegas.
I think it's in the next one.
Okay. Well, before that, I do want to quickly highlight how stupid the plan is. Okay, so the film establishes that the characters are set around the ruins of Salt Lake City. Okay, so they say, all right, we're going to go from Salt Lake City to Alaska. That's literally thousands of miles. Thousands. Inconceivable, right? They're not going to be able to do that. But okay, let's say they can do it if they have enough fuel, which they don't. That's like the big thing. They're like, we don't have a lot of gas, and we don't have a lot of food either. You know, how are we going to go all the way to Alaska? And Alice just chimes in out of nowhere with no real explanation and says, Vegas. We're going to go to Las Vegas. If there's anywhere that's still going to have food and gas, it's Vegas.
That's not what I would think. I'd be like, oh, that's probably all gone.
That's probably all gone like every other metropolis. And also, it's like, why Vegas? What is it about Vegas? Why would Alice care or know anything about Vegas?
She just wants to gamble. She's like, I hope those casinos are still around.
I think she might want to gamble. And, I'm thinking to myself, okay, that is an asinine plan, because out of all the major cities you could pick, Vegas is in the complete fucking opposite direction of Alaska.
Yeah.
So they'd have to go all the way down to Vegas, then all the way back past Salt Lake City or somewhere in Nevada, and then they gotta go up to Alaska again. It's like, you're probably gonna burn through all the fucking fuel you just scavenged. As if you were ever gonna find enough fuel to go to fucking Alaska.
They were only 100 miles away from Vegas and Salt Lake City, so...
That's the other thing, is like, that is a huge fucking blunder. I mean, clearly this movie doesn't follow any real-world logic going off of what happened to the Earth at the top of the film. But, like, Salt Lake City, some guy chimes in after Alice makes her proposal that they've got about 100 miles worth of fuel. Salt Lake City and Las Vegas are over 421 miles apart. I just looked at Google Maps to confirm. They are over 4 times away versus the amount of fuel they could possibly use.
They just did a lot of coasting.
Right. And it's just like, I don't know, you wanted to set it in Vegas? Why did you have them start off in Salt Lake City to begin with? You could have had them in, like, the Vegas area.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems so stupid to me. I don't even think you need to be a geography guy to know Salt Lake City to Vegas to Alaska is a huge, huge trip that is massive waste of fuel.
They should have just made a pirate ship and sailed up there.
Genuinely. Use air power. Yeah, use the fucking sailboat. So anyway, Isaac's attempts to domesticate the infected lead to a new zombie breed. Wesker's security officer, Alexander Slater, and we never get his fucking name, who cares, reports on Isaac's disregard for umbrella regulations. It's explained at some point, Wesker didn't want Isaacs to track Alice or something, or shut her down? I don't know. Wesker tasks Slater with watching Isaacs, telling him to kill the scientist if he disobeys orders again. Tracing an energy pattern sent out by Alice's telekinesis, Umbrella triangulates her location. Okay, can I stop the plot synopsis here and again point out the fact that she's been on her own for 5 years? And we saw her using her fucking telekinesis in her sleep to lift those rocks before she reunited with the group. So, like, how has she been able to evade Umbrella for the past 5 years if she's been using her telekinesis?
I don't know.
I know, I'm sorry. You sound so tired of this.
I'm just tired of this movie.
I texted you at the end of this movie viewing experience, and I said, I think this was a mistake. We should have done something else. Desperate to reclaim Alice to achieve his goals, Isaac sends his new zombies to ambush the convoy. During the attack, most of the convoy is killed. LJ succumbs to his infection, biting Carlos before Carlos kills LJ. Umbrella tries to shut Alice down remotely, but she breaks free from Umbrella's programming and continues to fight.
Great scene.
Insane that they have the ability to do that. And also, yeah, the satellite just happened to break. She finds Isaac at the scene, and he is bitten as he flees via helicopter. Alice and a girl from Claire's convoy named Kmart use Isaac's computer to track the helicopter's flight path, leading them to Umbrella's underground facility.
This whole part's fucking stupid, too.
Yeah, it's all so stupid. So first of all, we're in New Vegas. This is Fallout New Vegas now. We show up in the wasteland, and when they arrive, everybody is shocked to see it in ruins. There's like sad music playing, and like, I think it's Kmart who says, "What happened here?"
Oh, that's my favorite part.
What the fuck do you think happened? The same thing that's happened to the whole fucking planet. Weren't you paying attention to the voiceover?
I like how when they go there, she's like, there was no one here to push the sand back, so it reclaimed the city, which to me implies that in Las Vegas right now, there's people who manually go out and push the sand back.
It's their biggest industry.
They employed millions of sand sweepers a day.
84% of the city is employed as sand sweepers.
And it's like covering the whole city.
It is ridiculously high up. And I'm not going to say it's not like a cool image or something, but her explanation's so fucking stupid.
It makes sense if it was like in 100 years, but not 5.
Or even if it was like a nuclear apocalypse or something that would like blow the sand around. But as far as we know, the T-virus just happened to take all the water for no reason. It wouldn't explain why there's suddenly 50 feet of sand covering all the casinos.
I guess I can talk about it now because we're talking about the Isaacs, because I don't think he's been mentioned yet. Every time they cut back to the lab, they have to show like the wireframe blueprint of the lab and like go follow down, and it goes down like 2,000 meters and it zooms in. I'm like, why are you showing this every time?
We also get some nice product placement here. I don't know if you caught it.
No, I didn't.
When he's trying to teach the zombie to use the cell phone and the camera and like the building blocks and stuff, which by the way, that's stolen straight from Day of the Dead, except it's done worse here. He's got a Sony Ericsson cell phone with the logo.
Well, Sony made the movie, so...
Yeah, exactly. They distributed it, so it's like, yeah, it makes sense.
That part was so funny. He's like, do you know what this is? He's like, phone. And he's like, here. And he takes a picture with the camera. I'm like, this is so stupid.
Yeah, they do this in Day of the Dead, but it's much slower, and it's way more believable, the way that they do it in that. It's so worth it. In this, yeah, they do it for like 5 seconds. He instantly gets it, and then he also gets fed up with it and just breaks out of his fucking handcuffs.
And no one apparently saw that coming. They're very surprised by that.
And I love how Isaacs was allowed to just stand there and let those guys get eaten by locking them into the room. When it's like, you guys are in an underground bunker. It's not as if you're going to have a lot of umbrella scientists running around these days.
That's true.
There's no hiring pool to recruit new scientists from, and you just lost 2 of them for literally no reason. At least one of those guys could have made it out behind you.
They put a sign out front on the road and it says, need scientists, apply within.
Internship only, no pay.
We have Wesker, too.
Yeah, he's fine. I don't know.
He didn't seem very Weskery to me, but...
Yeah, no, I mean, he kind of looks the part. He doesn't really sound the part. His attitude, I don't know. I mean, as far as game comparisons go, he's not the worst job they've done, but he's still not very good.
It just seemed like they threw him in there because they were like, we need more characters in the games. Throw Wesker in there.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
And also, spoiler alert, he's recast in the next movie or whenever he appears next, so it's not even the same guy.
So they recast Wesker, but they're too afraid to recast Jill?
All they need is a guy with blonde hair that wears sunglasses.
You sound just like the fans who want the guy from The Boys to be Wesker.
Oh, yeah. Anthony Starr.
Anthony Starr? Yeah.
He has the blonde hair.
Oh, man. It's my least favorite kind of fan casting. This actor kind of looks like him, don't you think?
I've seen enough. Cast him. We also have, when they track her, then they somehow magically get to Las Vegas before them and put down this shipping crate with way more zombies than they should be able to fit in there. There's like 100 zombies in there.
I was just thinking, like, it's kind of crazy that the shipping container was so quiet and, like, still when there's, like, so many fucking zombies in there.
And how did they know they were going to Las Vegas? It's not like she called them and was like, hey, we're going to Vegas.
Yeah, it's not, I don't think they're, like, listening from the satellite. They're not doing, like, lip reading or, I don't know.
Well, I guess they did have her location. They were following her, but...
I guess, but...
How did they even get that out there? They didn't have, like, a cargo helicopter. Did they drive it out there? Did they just have that there?
I mean, maybe they have the helicopter that picks up Isaacs dropping it off. I don't know if it's like the right specification. Not that this movie would care. But also it's like, what a tremendous waste of fuel. Helicopters aren't supposed to go that far. And it's like, where's the lab? Because I just kind of assumed the lab was in Vegas and it was a coincidence. Or like near Vegas. I didn't realize that they were dropping the shipping containers as like a trap. Yeah, and then everybody gets slaughtered. Which was very funny.
The one that made me laugh was so they're like, okay, yeah, everyone run. And then they have the one guy sniping from the Eiffel Tower thing.
Yeah, the cowboy.
The people, instead of running away, are climbing up the Eiffel Tower. I'm like, why would you climb up there? You're going to be stuck.
Yeah, and your sniper is not going to be able to cover you. Because he'd have to be aiming right fucking down instead of away from the tower where he's got a better sight line.
There was a lot of funny moments in this. There's the other part where the other guy is being attacked and there's like 3 zombies on him. Claire gets out, high-powered rifle, starts shooting them. I'm like, okay, the bullets are going through and hitting him.
Oh yeah, well there's also the part where I can't remember if it's Claire or Alice. I think it's Alice. She like kicks the zombie with like a side kick in its back. And the zombie has its like arms wrapped around a guy. And instead of like pushing both of them forward, it somehow pushes the guy out of the zombie's arms, but the zombie doesn't move.
Good shit.
Yeah, good shit. Good shit. I just love how by the end, the only people left alive are Alice, Claire, a dying Carlos, and fucking Kmart. Those are the only people left alive.
And then like some like randos that they don't name. They have like 5 people that aren't dead, I think.
I don't remember any of those people except for those 4. And none of those people go with them to the facility in the next paragraph, so...
Oh, no, they do.
They do?
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all. I remember the 4 of them, like, parked on the ridge.
Well, they go back, they show them getting into a truck, and then instead of just going in and taking the helicopter and flying it away and then picking them up, they bring them to the helicopter.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why they wouldn't just fly it away, but whatever. Did you like the scene where she used her telekinesis to break the satellite?
That's what happened?
Yeah, she burned the chip out.
When I was reading it, I made a little comment that I thought it was just a coincidence.
No, I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
So, like 100,000 miles away, she popped a fucking microscopic processor chip on a moving satellite. Yeah, okay. I mean, she's basically God, right? If she can do that, why doesn't she just give every fucking bad guy a brain aneurysm at the same time? She literally did that in the last movie. I just said that as a joke, but I just remembered she literally killed a fucking security guard.
I also forgot to point out, last episode I was talking about how, like, she became, like, the overpowered original character. And then in this one, it's like, oh yes, the cure can only be from our overpowered original character. She's, like, the chosen one who can get the cure for the zombies.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's never been this bad in anything I've ever seen.
And then she's just going around killing them like a ninja.
And it was goofy, but I don't mind it when she's fighting like that. Anytime the Force gets involved, I can't accept it. I just can't. I'm sorry. It's just so stupid. Why would you introduce something this fucking comically broken and not even have her use it in like 99% of circumstances where she's fighting?
Maybe she can't control them yet. She's going to go to a different planet and train with Luke Skywalker.
Oh, God. What is the Resident Evil equivalent of Yoda? I'm trying to think.
Oswald E. Spencer. An old man.
She's got Spencer on her back. The whole wheelchair strapped to her back.
It's gotta be him. I can't think of any other older people.
And nobody else has the Force, so it's like that part of it doesn't even make sense.
Fuck it, it might as well just be Yoda. Let's have a crossover.
I'm down with that. I mean, this movie's already giving me Force Awakens energy, so let's just have Yoda in Afterlife. Fuck it, let's do it.
So as the convoy arrives at the Umbrella facility, Carlos, who is dying from his bite, sets out to sacrifice himself, giving some goodbyes to the convoy, including Alice. Carlos takes a tanker truck with dynamite to destroy the zombie horde, blocking the entrance to the Umbrella facility. Dynamite explodes, killing him. Alice and Claire get everyone else onto a helicopter and get them to safety, but Alice stays behind. Here's a funny thing. They're bitching about having no gas, and then they get this tanker truck
Yep.
full of gas, because it blows up.
Yep.
And where did they get the dynamite?
I don't know, maybe they found it in Vegas somewhere. Maybe there was some casino demolition or something. I don't know.
They found a gold mine.
Yeah, I mean, fuck it. I actually did like Carlos's death scene. It was very stupid, don't get me wrong. But I did like him like lighting the dynamite and then using that to light his joint that he found that LJ hid in the car.
Yeah.
And then it like zooms out to see the zombies through the window in the sideways truck. I liked that. It was goofy, but I thought it was fun.
I liked that they finally confirmed the Alice and Carlos ship that everyone was hoping for.
Yeah, everybody wouldn't stop writing fan fiction about it. Ooh, that gives me an idea.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna see real quick. AO3. Why do I need to read a fucking terms of service for AO3? Go away. There's 798 works of fan fiction for these movies.
What's the most common tag?
Okay, well, first off,
Uh-oh.
the first one I see here is called Futa Tyrants.
Oh, hell yeah.
By Dakaman777. Annette Birkin creates a new form of tyrant. Wait a minute, this is not... I think they might have accidentally tagged it as the movies.
Well, that doesn't even make any sense because the tyrants are all guys.
Also true, yeah. Well, maybe this person's fanfiction makes them female and then gives them cocks? I don't know.
I mean, I guess we don't know if they do have them.
I'm going to look up... Can I look up characters specifically? Let me see. Alice.
This is Joe's specialty.
I know, but she's not here, so... What are hits and what are kudos? I don't know what this is. I'm going to go with hits.
I think hits is, like, popular and kudos is likes.
Okay, well, Food to Tyrants is at the top. Let's see. This one's called Suburbia, top tags, rape/non-con. Okay, so we're not reading that one. All right, point is, it exists. There's over 300 fanfics with Alice tagged. People may have been asking for this, genuinely.
We could find our niche here.
What, writing it?
Yeah.
Just take other people's fanfiction and swap the names out. All right, but I think that's my only note there.
This is the one Mad Max part that they actually have where he drives through the fence.
Yeah, pretty much. And then it explodes into a fireball, which is also very Mad Max.
And kills like 50 zombies of the 5,000 that are there.
10 million? Yeah.
Also, how are they not breaking through that fence? There's so many of them. And it's just a normal fence.
Well, you see, the fence is actually infused with the T-virus at a cellular level.
Oh.
So...
Okay, never mind then. I guess I would have liked him to survive, but also I didn't feel anything when he died, and I didn't feel anything for any of the other characters when they died, because they don't, I mean, for the most part, they're just killing off these random people. They didn't establish them enough in the previous movies, so it doesn't matter when they do die, because we don't care.
Eloquently put. Yeah, they're like NPCs in a video game. Like bad side characters that you don't care about at all. And like I said it earlier, but it's like Alice is like a protagonist of an open world game, just fucking going around on her own, doing fucking pointless chores, it seems like. And then there's these people dicking around, doing nothing. Carlos and Alice kiss. We haven't really seen them together much for this entire movie. And also, in Apocalypse, they were separated. They only really came together in Apocalypse in like the back half. And also Jill was there. And you did point out it was more of an Alice Carlos thing than a Jill Carlos thing. But still, it's like, this isn't like one of cinema's great romances. Like, this doesn't feel earned at all. These are like two aliens talking to each other. They've barely interacted with other people. They've got no depth. And they've definitely not had any chemistry together.
But remember earlier when they were in the truck and she was reading the journal and it said something about like loving people, and then she looked up at Carlos and he was driving the car?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I do remember her looking at the journal a few times, but it cuts away too fast. I couldn't fucking read any of it, and I refused to pause. So I guess without the notebook, she wouldn't have understood what love was. I mean,
probably not.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess not.
Oh, also, one more thing. When she's going, he's like, because it made no sense to me. He's like, just promise me one thing. When you get down there, ... And then she says, consider it done. Dude, I don't know, like...
Dude, that's awesome.
They've never been there before. They don't know what's down there.
I fucking love these pieces of shit. Oh, this sucks. Okay. Yeah, alright.
I was so confused watching that, and it's like their final words. And I'm like, okay, do what? I don't know.
Maybe she has telepathy now? I don't know. Genuinely. I don't know. Entering the underground facility, Alice meets a hologram of the Red Queen's, quote, sister AI, the White Queen. She informs Alice that her blood can cure the T-virus, defends the Red Queen's prior actions, and reveals what happened to Dr. Isaacs. On her way to the lab's lower levels, Alice encounters one of her clones, which awakens but appears to die from shock soon after. Alice discovers Isaacs, now as a tyrant, defeating him after leading him to the replica of the Hive's laser corridor featured in the film's opening. Just as Alice is about to meet the same fate, the system is deactivated by the clone who is still alive.
Great part here.
Yeah. White Queen. I think it's funny that all three of these movies have featured like a little British girl delivering exposition. I like the underground lab sequence. We kind of already talked about it a little bit earlier. It's like one of the only parts of the movie that's like genuinely spooky.
Mm-hmm.
It looks a lot better than the lab sequences from the first movie, which, you know, same cinematographer, different directors, so do with that what you will.
I liked when she's talking to the Red Queen, and then she's like, she's defending the White Queen's actions or whatever.
Other way around.
Oh, whatever. Whatever, who cares? But she's like, well, it's the original quote is, I met your sister, she was a homicidal bitch, and she's like, well, you know, she was just trying to contain the infection and stop it from spreading, and she's like, yeah, kill a few to save a lot. And I'm like, okay, there was like 6 of you there, and there's like 6 billion people on the earth. Right.
And also, in the first movie, it seemed like Alice was on the same page with the Red Queen at the end. Like, I guess they didn't want to kill Matt or whatever. Was it Matt or was it...
It was Rain.
Oh, yeah, Michelle Rodriguez. Yeah, okay. But still, like, it seemed like they were largely past this misunderstanding that she was a rogue AI. So it's weird for Alice to be so mad again.
Over something that happened 5 years ago.
Also, I don't know why Alice needs her help at all, since it's been established since the end of the last film that Alice is like a technomancer who can fucking hack computers by looking at them.
I really like, too, the way that she's in the lab and they're having the tyrant like scurry across the frame, when in like the other, like Mr. X, he doesn't scurry around, he stomps. Nemesis is not scurrying around in the shadows.
Yeah. Tyrants are big fucking guys. They're like 12 feet tall. They're really scary looking. They're big fuckers. They're not going to be slinking around on the edge of the frame. So I thought it was funny. I shouldn't say I like it as in I thought it was done well.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious.
I still think the mansion recreation is kind of cool at the end. It's like sort of a poetic full circle thing. because this is the last movie of the trilogy.
Right.
But that's undercut from the fact that, like, doing research, we know that they were already making a fourth movie. And I feel like that was probably public knowledge at the time, that they were doing 3 and 4, like, not concurrently, but they were definitely making a fourth one.
Yeah, I just don't think that in any way, shape, or form that the end of this movie is, like, satisfying as a trilogy ending.
Yeah, it's not satisfying as the ending to a trilogy, and the 3 films as a whole don't really work as a trilogy either.
No.
It's like, even if you were just to focus on Alice as a character, what arc is there? The first movie, she's like an amnesiac who gets her memories back and she was like trying to betray Umbrella. The second movie, she's just like, I don't know, trying to get out of the city. And then in this one, she's off on her own for half the film. I mean, there's really no character arc. There's no character. Yeah, it's just not a trilogy.
I really liked when they were fighting.
I will say, I do like the Tyrant's look. I mean, it's not as impressive as the ones in the games, and I would say that even Nemesis was more intimidating from the last movie. But he's kind of cool looking. He's got some good makeup and prosthetics going on.
I feel like he was like half tyrant.
Yeah. At first, I thought he was going to be Birkin, like a G-Virus thing, because of the like half and half thing going on.
Oh, yeah.
I like when Alice uses the Force to push him against the wall in the mansion with the wooden floor getting all splintered. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, and then he screams, and then that does more than she did by pushing him. So later in Tokyo, Wesker informs his fellow Umbrella executives that the North American facility has been lost. Alice appears during the meeting, declaring that she and her friends, the other clones, are coming for him.
My final note is a reaction to her epic own against Wesker, where she says, I'm going to be bringing a few of my friends. And it's like, wait, just the Alices? Because your only other friends left are Claire and Kmart.
And they aren't really friends.
No, you don't really have anybody left. Everybody kind of died, except for whoever you just rescued, who you're probably never going to see again.
I had a similar one. I said, please let the next one have 50 psychic-powered Alices. It would be so dumb.
Yes, I was like laughing my ass off because it's like she's literally at like a Camino cloning facility. It's amazing.
There was so many of them, too.
A lot. The film commits to this. It's like, no, it's not just a couple Alice clones. There are at least dozens. So that means Resident Evil 4, if it picks up where this one left off, which it probably won't, considering the track record these sequels have with each other, going from one to the next, yeah, you're looking at a fucking army of super soldier, telekinetic badasses.
I'm actually quite excited in a kind of sad way to see how they deal with this in the next one, because it's either going to be they're going to keep going with it, or they're just going to completely ignore it and be like, yes, 5 years after, the world is healed.
You had texted me and were like, yeah, they're probably just going to do what they did in this movie, where they have a voiceover explain how the entire setting has shifted for no reason.
Yeah.
Just completely abruptly. But I agree. I really hope they just go with it. I really hope there's like 50 Alices running around with superpowers.
And there's no in between either of these movies. Is it going to be, they're going to show like 50 of them, or they're just not going to bring it up again?
Oh yeah, we're not going to see any of this shit resolved. I wouldn't be surprised if the next one's not even in Tokyo.
2 years later, all my clones died. It's just me again.
Yeah.
But the world is healed.
The world is healed. I cured the T-virus with my 50 clones, but they all died in the process. Oh, God. What a plot. All right. So, did it work? Did this film feel like it was in the Resident Evil universe? Not even close. No. I guess there's a couple labs or whatever, but no, this is not Resident Evil.
I mean, maybe in this universe that it's established, but even then it's completely different from the games.
Well, I think even compared to the last two films, it is quite literally at the opposite end of what the setting was. Other than the Umbrella Lab at the end, there's really nothing else that's even remotely similar. Did the Wasteland make sense or work? Fuck no. Did the game characters feel like they were done well? No.
Every did it work question we have for this is just no.
Yeah.
So we'll just cruise on to the aftermath of release with the critical and audience response. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a critic score of 24% and an audience score of 58%, which I think is lower. I think they're both lower.
The critic score is actually higher than Apocalypse.
Oh, Jesus Christ. How?
I don't know. The critic score for Apocalypse was 18%. The audience score is lower, but not by much, because the audience score for Apocalypse was 60, as opposed to this one's 58.
This having a higher one than the last one is crazy to me because this one's fucking stupid. On Metacritic, it has a Metascore of 41. That seems really high. And a user score of 6.2.
Apocalypse was 36 Metascore, so it's got a better... Extinction has a better score from critics. Slightly higher user score as well.
That is insane. It has a cinema score of B-. Oh, Jesus, how?
Last time was a B, so this is our first B-.
At least something seems something seems right here. Oh God, how? I'm not gonna waste too much brain power on it because nothing makes sense in this movie. But it doesn't matter what the critics or the audience think because what speaks louder than critics is money. And it had a budget of $45 million, which isn't much more than the last one.
It's exactly the same.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's the same budget.
Interesting. It had a domestic opening weekend of $23 million.
Which is the same as the last movie.
It went on to have a total domestic gross of $50 million, an international gross of $97 million, for a total box office of $147.7 million. Are those also similar? I feel like they're kind of similar.
The domestic opening is exactly the same. The domestic gross is a little less, but the international gross is like... we're talking $1 million less. Less than $1 million, yes. The total domestic gross for the last one was 51.2, and this one is 50.6. So we're talking less than $600,000 of a difference. And internationally, the last one was 78 million versus this one's 97. So it made more money overseas.
And what was the total for the last one?
Oh, the total was 129.3.
Oh, okay, so 20 million more, and then a net profit of 103 million.
Yeah. So this one made more money than the last one.
Insane.
Cost the same, did about the same in the US, but foreign audiences are starting to like it a little bit more, which may foreshadow box offices to come.
Once again, the live-action Resident Evil films managed to avoid their extinction by creating over $100 million in profits, obviously leading to the studio greenlighting a sequel. But before we can talk about that, next week we'll actually be taking a look at Capcom's second foray into the world of Resident Evil CGI films with Resident Evil Damnation.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please be sure to leave a like, share it with your friends, rate us 5 stars if you're listening on a podcast platform, and if you've seen the movie, be sure to leave your thoughts on it in the comments. We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.